From the 1011 Now Alert Center, this is Morning Pulse.
Good morning. This is Craig Allison with your Morning Pulse for Thursday, March 19th. Before we get into our top 6 stories for you this morning, let's get to our question of the day. Question is, about 20% of people say they know their partner's preference when it comes to this. What is it? The answer this morning was favorite flower. That was certainly not our first guest this morning. Chanel Taylor, Megan Conway, and Brandon Rector all put in coffee. I put something about the temperature, so that one definitely threw me off. But there's always tomorrow. That being said, if you want to participate in our question of the day, be sure to head over to our 1011 Facebook page, put in your guess, and we read off guesses and answers during 1011 this morning. Now, that being said, let's get into our top 6 headlines for you this morning. Starting off in international news, rare criticism of Israel from President Trump over the war with Iran. State media in Tehran reports new attacks on its oil production facilities and the world's largest natural gas field. In a post on Truth Social late yesterday, President Trump says Israel lashed out in anger and the U.S., quote, knew nothing about the attack on South Par's gas field. Trump now calling for an end to all strikes on energy targets, saying Israel will no longer strike the facility unless provoked. So be sure to stick with us at 10:11 for more updates on the latest with this conflict. Jumping back here to state news, every day Nebraskans are doing what they can to help fight the wildfire blaze. One of them was a pilot with more than 50 years of experience. Tim Williams' plane carried 500 gallons of a mix of water and foam above the Cottonwood fire last week. And between Friday and Saturday, he made 19 trips to try and stamp out the fire. On Saturday, the North Platte Fire Department handled refills for his plane on the ground. Williams was joined by his son and 2 other pilots who spent 8 to 10 hours dumping water on hot spots.
Well, it was huge. It's the biggest fire I've ever seen. It was so big, they couldn't get enough manpower around to get it stopped. And where it was at, the roads were few and far between.
Now, if you're listening to us this morning and not watching, be sure to go over to this story on 1011now.com. There is just some very phenomenal and shocking and terrifying footage from the plane POV flying over the wildfires where Williams is dumping that water. Again, just a remarkable effort on his part to just go out there into those dangerous conditions and help out with this effort. Williams was critical in this fight because the terrain was too difficult to drive into. So be sure to keep up with us for the latest on the wildfire fighting efforts. Now, in local news happening today, the Beatrice man convicted of killing his partner and holding his children hostage will learn his fate today in court. 53-year-old Christopher Milkey was found guilty for the first-degree murder of 52-year-old Tammy Leslie, as well as kidnapping and several other charges last month. According to court documents, Milkey shot and killed Leslie at their Beatrice home in 2024. He was convicted of 2 Class 1A felonies, which holds a potential of 2 life sentences. He'll be sentenced this afternoon, so be sure to keep up with what we learned today by installing our 1011 Now app on Roku or sticking with us on 1011 Now where you're watching us right now. To your 4th story out of our top 6 headlines, former State Senator Dan McEwen has been accepted into a diversion program as an alternative to prosecution for disturbing the peace. According to court records, McEwen was supposed to have a bench trial starting today, but he asked for it to be pushed to late August. He also applied into the diversion program and was accepted. Once completed, the charge will be dismissed, and this all comes after allegations he inappropriately touched a legislative staffer during a party last May. McEwen resigned from the legislature earlier this year. Your 5th story, and it's what we're all thinking and talking about today if you're stuck at work. Husker men's basketball. The countdown is here. Tip-off just hours away. My goodness, less than 4. I'm trying to do math here while I'm trying to read the news. Well, let's just stick to the facts here. This has been a historic season for Nebraska. Then that just being an understatement, this morning's NCAA tournament game against Troy could etch this season further into the books. Nebraska's Fred Hoiberg and Troy's Scott Cross, each coach at a school that has never won in the NCAA tournament. One of the head coaches makes history coming today. And for the Huskers, it's an 85-year drought and a stigma long attached to the program.
It's the unsaid thing in every single room is that we don't have a tournament win, so being able to do it as a senior would be pretty cool.
I know the first question is going to be Nebraska's never won a tournament game. We realize that. Have I talked to our players about it? No, I haven't. They know.
Nebraska is the only Power 5 conference school without a win in the Big Dance, and 10-11's Kevin Stutes is down in OKC, so be sure to go over to 1011now.com to get the latest on where to watch and to keep up with the latest action. Now, that being said, let's not forget the women's basketball team, one of the last 4 teams that made the 2026 tournament, meaning they would have to play in the first 4, but after a strong second-half performance against the Spiders, the Huskers are moving on in March Madness. Nebraska defeating 11-seed Richmond 75-56. Sophomore Britt Prince led the way with 22 points, and Nebraska now advances to face 6-seed Baylor in the round of 64. That game is set for 1 p.m. tomorrow. So be sure to tune in tomorrow for Husker women's team, and be sure to tune in later today at 11:40 for Husker men's basketball. Wrapping things up on the somber side for you this morning, the U.S. Army has posthumously promoted Sergeant First Class Noah Tegens, a Bellevue native who was killed earlier this month during Operation Epic Fury. Tegens was retroactively promoted to Master Sergeant on March 1st, the day he and 3 others were killed by a drone in Kuwait. Funeral services are set for next Saturday, March 28th, and for more on those details, you can head over to this story on 1011now.com. That is going to do it for your Morning Pulse for this Thursday and tip off to March Madness. Before we send it over to Brandon Rector, here's a look of your very hot 7-day forecast.
Good Thursday morning. Meteorologist Brandon Rector with you in the 1011 Severe Weather Center. Red flag warning in effect from noon until 8 p.m. Central Daylight Time today for part of western Nebraska, as we'll have critical fire weather conditions again. That warning actually goes until 9 p.m. Central Daylight Time Saturday for part of the Panhandle, including Scotts Bluff and Shadron. Wind gusts up to 25 miles per hour possible in the western third of Nebraska as we go through the afternoon and early evening today. Mainly sunny for the bulk of today. Clouds will increase late afternoon, early evening in portions of northern, central, and eastern Nebraska. So becoming partly to potentially mostly cloudy, but those clouds will move out or dissipate as we go through the night tonight. Temperatures at noon look to be in the 60s and 70s. At 4, we'll be in the upper 70s to mid 80s. We'll be near record high territory in some locations for today. And this evening at 8, temperatures in the mid 60s to low 70s.
From the 1011 Now Alert Center, this is Morning Pulse.